I will, I'll tell you what though, if I did have this project to do over again, the thing that I would change is I would use good wood.
The only problem is that wood is good.
Darn it, never mind. That one that I'm working on right now, I don't know why I got so deep in the design before I got worried about the stability of it. This is like a way worse version of what it would be because first off, this joint is tiny in comparison to what the other one is. Yeah. This wood is also a lot thinner, this plywood compared to the hardwood. The pieces, the slats for each of those pieces almost 2 inches thick. These are 3/4 of an inch thick. This is also way longer. The other one's 4 feet at the tip. So, I mean, maybe I could put weight where the 4 foot mark is, so maybe we should do that. This thing's gonna be wobbly as hell, huh?
Standing on it.
Oh God.
God, I don't want to be.
It's probably gonna bend enough that it's just gonna
touch.
I mean, I can feel like each little slat bending when I just like wobble my feet forward. So, this taught us nothing. So the difference in like how hard I have to push down here to touch compared to here is pretty significant. Yeah. Like I have to like lean fully onto that one. This one I can just kind of put my foot down a little.
Like the support place is gonna be way bigger. Yeah. It's made out of solid wood. The span is shorter. It's thicker pieces.
Mm-hmm. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah, I think you'll be
And
fine.
it's a table, not a
Yeah, you're not
bench.
supposed
Yeah, you're not supposed to sit on it, but that doesn't mean people won't sit on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried. Like for use as a coffee table, it'll be fine. And I guess I'd rather just kind of like approach the limit and see what happens rather than never approaching the limit.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
We still build it?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody else can learn from my wasted $600. So for that slatted coffee table, the hardest part for me of that project was once I had made my 6 individual slats, how to assemble everything. Mm-hmm. Normally, in those kind of situations, I bounce ideas off of you, and you usually have a better idea than I do about that kind of stuff. And so I go with your suggestion, but that wasn't an option this time. The simplest version would have been you drill holes all the way through your thing, you get dowels, and you just insert them all the way through, one continuous dowel, kind of like similar to what the people who stole your rocking chair at CVS did.
I think your concern was getting the right spacing, and it's obviously a very like messy glue up.
Yeah, it'd be so messy.
Pushing glue through. But what they did, or what you could do, is make little spacer blocks, and then that kind of
which
helps
is
with that.
Basically what I had done on the DIY coffee table, where it was all the plywood layers. I had some other ideas for how to do it, but before I say that, I'd be interested to hear, like, what would you have done?
Watching, the cut of the video, so seeing step by step how you did it, I think that's a good way to do it.
What I initially was thinking about doing was actually trying to cut the whole thing on the CNC. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that they're mirrors of each other.
Yeah.
And so you would have to have 2 really perfect setups where you made sure you were zeroing it in the same spot every time. And they would all come together because the mortises would always be in the same position relative to one another, but you could have the whole slat in there the wrong way. So you could end up with like, you bring the 2 together and like, while they will come together, like this slat might be like this.
Yeah. As everyone knows, we're not very good with CNC, and so it just adds that extra little room for error where if you were to make all those, you put so much work into it, and then you cut these holes into it, and they're off. It's like,
I could ruin the entire piece with even just one of them being wrong. You'd have one slat just like at a different angle than the rest of them. So I did it right.
I mean, honestly, the only thing when I was watching that I had a different thought about was I don't think you needed to worry about the fact that this router bit wasn't cutting a perfectly flat mortise at the bottom.
The reason for that, I wasn't concerned about that, is just you literally can't plunge in.
Oh, I got you.
So like you could only...
It won't keep going.
Yeah, that's as far down as you could go.
We don't have a...
We probably do, but I was like, oh man, this one cuts like perfectly, like the mortises were perfect where it would fit in there, and I was like,
yeah,
I might be able to find one that's like a flat bottom bit or whatever.
I did have a thought. I was first seeing what you're doing. I thought you were cutting the template and then you were going to use a smaller router bit to basically flush
I was
trim
going
it.
to at first.
And I think that's a good idea as well, though the more you do them, the more you might push that MDF in it. They're going to get looser and looser as you do it more and more.
The reason I didn't do that is because, so when there's a shot in there where I've got like a piece of scrap wood and I'm cutting a bunch of holes to find the right size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
So that's when I thought that was the approach that I was going to take was. And the problem with that is, so I think this is about as small of a diameter bit that we have that goes into a full-size router, whereas all of the smaller ones are for palm routers that don't have a plunging.
Well, you can put a 1/4-inch collet.
Yeah, I could have put the smaller. God, I could have just changed out the collet. Yeah. If I had thought of that,
that's why I needed to be
changing the collet, I would have done that. But I was thinking like, then I'm gonna have to like manually adjust each time. How am I gonna ensure that? Like now I have to ensure that they always bottom out at the same spot. And I was like, this one is cutting perfect size, so this is fine.
So how many times does that happen where you like ask for help?
Yeah, I would say maybe 15 times per project.
Really?
No. I'm like, Shaun, how do I rip a board? Which one's a table saw? This was probably about as stuck as I get because it's like one of those situations where there's not a pretense for it of like, oh, I did this before and it's exactly like this. It's like, oh, I just need to figure out a way to do this and there's not
I think a lot of
something
times
that I'm leaning on that exists.
A lot of times it's when you're trying to figure out a technique that's unique to whatever
unprecedented.
Yeah, is being built, and it's more getting someone else's take on it instead of asking about how to do very general woodworking techniques.
Yeah, like the collet is a perfect example of like, for whatever reason, I know that you can change. There's actually a shot in the video where I changed the collet on the router table because I'm using a really small roundover bit. So that's the exact same thing, only it's changing the collet in this. I've changed the collet in these before, but for whatever reason, that thought never entered my mind throughout this entire process. And then when you said it, like, oh yeah, I could have done that.
You probably found that they fit perfectly with this
and
router.
I just got married to that.
Like,
I was like, this is it.
Yeah. I don't have to do any extra work except.
If I did have this project to do over again, what I would have done is use wood that is good.
Like this mallet.
That says, oh my God, wood is good.
I was gonna say, if I had made this.
You'd have made it for your friend Craig.
If I had made this, I would have ridden in on a pony.
Jorgensen.
Whenever you have to deliver this to whoever buys it, you maybe can deliver it on a jet. I'd say, if he was still alive, I know the client that would really love to have a bench like that, and that's Stan Makita.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Guy's shooting slap shots.
The great ice rink in the sky. Oh, she's probably still alive. Is Stan Makita dead?
Yes.
Oh man, that was blunt.
That's a definitive.
She didn't pull any punches. Not even like.
He is in the great ice rink in the sky.
Rest in peace,
Yeah.
Stan Makita.
Reality show, and some guy is featured in the episode. Oh, Crazy Mike is. And then at the end, it's like in memory of Crazy Mike. You're like, what?
Crazy Mike's dead.
It's the first time you watch that show. It's like, I really like this guy. He's a cool character.
Yeah.